we could have underflow. We could have the opposite of overflow, which is underflow, and that would happen. So here we're like going away from zero, right? Like 2.1 million. Like we went to the max. We're like away from zero, but there's values that are like very close to zero, and those values are decimal values, right? Like if we have like some point, let me go here and create that example. So where's my, not this one, here, and we'll still use this one, right? So thankfully we can also say auto min. Let me see here. I don't think that's going to do it. I don't have the example, but let me go here. I don't have the code, and I don't want to look for it. I don't have it memorized. But instead of looking for it and taking a long time and not finding it, I'll create this here, right? So what I was saying is, like, we could have like some decimal value, right? Like a lot of decimals, right? Like up to like n, right? Like n decimal. Oops. And if we just understand the same concept, where we were like, well, there's a max for whole numbers, then there's also a min for storing decimals. Like there's like the smallest, we can run into like the smallest decimal, and assuming this was the smallest, right? Assuming this was the smallest, and then we would do like minus 0.1, right? And we will do that. Then if it's the smallest, then we're gonna run into the concept of underflow, because we're not gonna have enough bits in memory to represent something smaller than the smallest value that can be represented in decimal format, right? So that's the concept of underflow. I was looking at this example here, and that's not the example I wanted to show. But the concept is there, right? So it's important that we understand that if we're dealing with decimals, like eventually we're gonna like get so close to zero that if we subtract, then our C++ double data type is gonna produce incorrect results. So we also have to be aware of that case, okay? So again, if you work in C++, and you have to be aware of this. However, this applies to all the programming languages. So we have to make sure that we know like what data we're going to be using. Like if it's a gaming app and like the scores can be very high, then we have to go always worst case scenario, right? Like if we are going to go to some ridiculously high number, then you have to investigate, well, what data type do I use to make sure that it can support my largest value that I'm going to run into, with like super good users that are just going to get super high scores, right? So questions here? Okay, so